The air in courtroom 4B tasted like old paper and impending doom. I sat there, my knuckles white as I gripped the edge of the mahogany table, watching my life's work, my daughter's safety, being dismantled by a man who hadn't even remembered her birthday for 3 years. Judge Rivera leaned forward, his eyes cold behind his spectacles, looking at me like I was a problem he was tired of solving. "Ms. Mitchell," he said, his voice echoing in the dead silence. "Why would a child want to stay in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment with a mother who is never there when she could have everything her father is offering?" I tried to speak, but the lump in my throat was a jagged stone. Beside me, my ex-husband Ethan adjusted his silk tie, his face the picture of smug, billionaire-adjacent tranquility. He didn't just want custody, he wanted to erase me. He wanted to win, and he was winning. Until a small, rhythmic thump broke the tension. My 7-year-old daughter, Harper, who had been sitting like a ghost in the back row, stood up. She was wearing her blue dress with the silver stars, the one that was supposed to make her feel brave. She wasn't looking at me, she was looking straight at the judge. "I brought the video of what he does at night," she said. Her voice was tiny, but in that silent room it sounded like a gunshot. She was clutching her pink tablet, the purple butterfly case scratched and worn. The room froze. Ethan's lawyer, a woman who smelled of expensive perfume and calculated cruelty, stopped mid-sentence. Ethan's smirk didn't just fade, it curdled. In that moment, I realized I didn't know my daughter at all. I thought I was the one protecting her. I had no idea that for months, she had been the one protecting me. "My name is Sarah Mitchell. 6 months ago, my biggest worry was whether I'd have enough coffee to survive a 12-hour night shift at Mercy General. I'm a nurse, the kind who sees the world at 3 a.m. when the filters are off and the truth is raw. For 5 years, it was just us, Harper and me. Ethan had walked out when she was barely 2, claiming he wasn't built for the domestic grind. He left behind a half-empty box of cereal and a daughter who didn't know how to say daddy yet. For 5 years, he was a ghost. A sporadic child support check that cleared once every 4 months. A birthday card that arrived in July. I didn't mind. We were happy. We had Sunday morning pancakes shaped like elephants and a reading nook built from old crates. Then, Ethan's tech startup, Lumina, went public. Suddenly, he wasn't just my ex. He was a visionary. And apparently, every visionary needs a legacy. He showed up at my door in a black SUV that cost more than my nursing degree, flanked by a woman named Brooke who looked like she'd been airbrushed into existence. "I want to be a father, Sarah," he told me, his voice smooth as polished glass. "I have resources now, opportunities for her." I should have known then. Men like Ethan don't want to be fathers. They want to own the title. When I refused to let him just whisk her away to his mansion in Brookhaven, the legal machinery started grinding. He didn't just sue for visitation. He sued for everything. His lawyers painted a terrifying picture. They used my career, the very thing that kept us fed, against me. "She works the graveyard shift," they told the court-appointed evaluator. "She leaves this precious child with various caregivers. She sleeps during the day while Harper is at school. Is this the life a Sullivan heir deserves?" I remember the evaluator visiting our apartment. She looked at the water stain on the ceiling from the upstairs neighbor's leak like it was a sign of moral failing. She noted the stack of medical textbooks by my bed. I was studying to be a nurse practitioner, trying to build a better life, and wrote down, "Mother's attention is divided." Have you ever felt the floor disappearing beneath your feet? That's what it's like to realize that your hard work, your sacrifices, and your love are being recontextualized as negligence by people who have never had to choose between a light bill and a pair of shoes. It's in the child's best interest, the evaluator's report concluded, to be in a home where her potential can be fully realized. But what about her heart? The visit started. Every Friday, I would pack Harper's small suitcase, and every Friday, she would get quieter. The lively girl who used to sing about gravity and stars became a shadow. "How was it, sweetie?" I'd ask when she returned on Sunday nights. "Fine," she'd whisper, clutching Mr. Bear so hard his seams started to pop. "Did you swim in the big pool?" "Miss Brooks says the chemicals are bad for my hair. We stayed in the media room." One Sunday, she came back with a purple mark on her wrist. It wasn't a bruise from a fall, it was the shape of a thumb. My heart stopped. "What happened, Harper?" "I fell, Mommy. I'm clumsy." She said it with a rehearsed flatness that chilled me to the bone. Have you ever looked into your child's eyes and realized they are lying to you to protect you? It is a special kind of agony. Loneliness makes dangerous choices feel reasonable, and I felt so alone that night I almost called Ethan to scream. But I knew if I did, his lawyers would use it as proof of my instability. I sat in the dark, watching her sleep, wondering when my little girl had learned how to keep secrets. The battle escalated. Ethan wanted primary custody. He wanted her in a private school 40 miles away. He wanted to move her to the San Francisco office. He was treating my daughter like a subsidiary he was trying to acquire. "Why are you putting Mr. Bear in the laundry hamper?" I asked her one Friday as she prepared for her weekend at the mansion. "So he's safe," she said. "If he stays here, he doesn't have to hear the shouting." "Shouting? Who is shouting, Harper?" She froze, her small hand hovering over the hamper. "Nobody. I'm just being silly." I called my sister Mia, sobbing. "I'm losing her. The system is rigged for people with money. I'm just a nurse in a 2-bedroom apartment. How do I fight a king?" "You don't fight the king," Mia said, her voice firm. "You find the truth. The truth is the only thing that cuts through money." But the truth was hidden behind the gates of Brookhaven, or so I thought. The night before the final hearing, Harper did something strange. She asked for her iPad, the one Ethan had bought her to bridge the digital divide. She usually hated it. She said it felt like a spy in her room. "Mommy," she whispered as I tucked her in, "is it bad to record people without asking?" "Why would you ask that, baby?" "Because Miss Brooks says little girls should be quiet. She says if I talk too much, I'll get you in trouble. She says you're tired because of me, and if I'm good, you can sleep forever." The cruelty of it took my breath away. They were gaslighting a 7-year-old. "I did something," Harper said, reaching under her pillow. "I pretended to be asleep, but I wasn't." She handed me the tablet. I opened a folder hidden inside a math app. The first video was shaky. It was filmed from the gap in a closet door. The audio was crisp. Ethan had bought her the highest-end tech, and it was his undoing. "You need to tell the judge she leaves you alone," Ethan's voice rang out, stripped of its public charm. It was cold, sharp, and terrifying. "Tell him you're scared when she goes to the hospital. If you don't, we're going to lose the house and it'll be your fault." "But Mommy says I'm brave," Harper's voice tiny and trembling. "Your mother is a night shift nobody," Brooke's voice chimed in. "Don't you want to live here? With the pool? Just say what we told you, or we'll send Mr. Bear to the trash." I watched, paralyzed, as my ex-husband and his new wife coached my daughter like a witness in a mob trial. There were 3 videos. The last one was the worst. "Once we get custody," Ethan said, pacing the room, "we'll move to the San Francisco branch. We can find a boarding school in Switzerland for her. She'll be out of our hair, and Sarah will be destroyed. It's a win-win." I felt a coldness settle over me. It wasn't fear anymore. It was a crystalline, murderous clarity. Desire whispers louder than guilt, and Ethan's desire to destroy me had blinded him to the fact that his ticket to victory was a human being with eyes and ears. Back in the courtroom, the silence following Harper's announcement was absolute. Judge Rivera looked at the pink tablet in her hand, then at me, then at Ethan. Ethan was whispering frantically to his lawyer, his face the color of spoiled milk. "Your Honor," my lawyer, Rachel, stood up. She had been waiting for this. We had spent the morning preparing. "We have submitted this evidence as Exhibit D. It was recorded by the child, on her own volition, because she felt she had no other way to be heard." "This is an outrage," Ms. Harper, the opposing counsel, shouted. "This is coached. A 7-year-old doesn't know how to document evidence. This is a blatant attempt by the mother to manipulate the court." "I suggest you sit down, counsel," Judge Rivera said. His voice was a low growl. "I will review the footage in chambers. We are in recess." Those 30 minutes were the longest of my life. I sat with Harper in the hallway. She ate a bag of goldfish crackers, swinging her legs, looking more relaxed than she had in months. "Are you okay?" I asked. "I'm not scared of the questions, Mommy," she said, her mouth full of crackers. "I'm just glad I don't have to keep the secret anymore. Secrets are heavy." When we were called back in, the atmosphere had shifted. The air felt heavy, charged with the electricity that precedes a lightning strike. Judge Rivera didn't look at the lawyers. He didn't look at the financial statements. He looked directly at Ethan. "Mr. Sullivan," the judge began, his voice dangerously calm, "I have spent 20 years on the bench. I have seen many parents fight, but I have rarely seen such a calculated, soul-crushing attempt to dismantle a child's love for their mother." Ethan tried to stand. "Your Honor, those videos," Rivera cut him off, "are a window into a house of horrors. You spoke of potential and opportunities, but all I see is a man who treats his daughter like a pawn in a corporate takeover. You didn't want a child. You wanted a trophy to use as a weapon." I felt the first tear escape. It wasn't a tear of sadness. It was the sound of a cage door opening. "The court finds," the judge continued, "that the environment provided by the father is not only unstable but psychologically abusive. I am awarding full physical and legal custody to Sarah Mitchell, effective immediately." Ethan's lawyer tried to speak, but the judge put up a hand. Mr. Sullivan will have supervised visitation only, pending a full psychological evaluation and a year of parenting and anger management classes. If he so much as whispers a threat to this child again, I will ensure he never sees her until she is 18, Ethan snapped. The mask of the visionary shattered. You're taking the word of a kid with an iPad? After everything I've built? This is a joke. Sarah, you think you've won? You'll be back in that dump, dragging her to the hospital while you work for pennies. The dump is a home, Mr. Sullivan, the judge said, signaling the bailiff, and you are no longer welcome in it. Remove him. As they led him out, Ethan screaming about appeals and doctored footage, Harper didn't look away. She watched him go. She didn't look afraid. She looked finished. 2 months later, the world is different. The silence in our apartment isn't heavy anymore. It's peaceful. Ethan and Brooke moved to San Francisco shortly after the ruling. Without a daughter to use as a ticket, they lost interest in the fight. Some people only want what they can't have, and once the court made Harper unobtainable, Ethan moved on to his next acquisition. I finished my first semester of NP school. My sister Mia still watches Harper on my night shifts, but now, when I come home at 7 a.m., Harper is waiting with a drawing. They aren't dark scribbles anymore. They are bright yellow suns and purple butterflies. Judge Rivera actually implemented something the local papers are calling the Harper Protocol, a new set of guidelines for how children in high-conflict cases are interviewed, ensuring their voices aren't drowned out by the noise of expensive lawyers. Last night, we had our Sunday pancakes. Harper was stirring the batter, her tongue poking out in concentration. "Mommy," she said, "do you remember when the judge asked why I'd want to stay here instead of the big house?" "I do, baby." "I have a better answer now," she said, flipping a lopsided pancake. "In the big house, everyone was talking, but nobody was listening. Here, even when it's quiet, I can hear you love me." I realized then that truth has its own frequency. It doesn't need a loudspeaker, it just needs someone brave enough to press record. I still remember the weight of that tablet in Harper's hand, the weight of a truth that was almost buried. Every time I tell our story, I'm reminded that there are thousands of Sarahs out there, working the night shift, wondering if their love is enough to outrun a bank account. If our journey touched your heart today, please hit that like button. It helps our story reach the people who are currently sitting in those cold courtroom chairs, feeling like they're about to lose everything. Drop a comment below. I read every single one. Have you ever had to find your voice when the world tried to silence you? Your stories give me strength. Subscribe to join our community. We share real experiences every day, the ones that happen behind closed doors, the ones that change lives. And if you know someone fighting for their child, share this with them. Let them know that sometimes the smallest voice in the room is the one that brings the whole house down. Before I go, remember this. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just a 7-year-old girl in a star-covered dress, holding a tablet and refusing to be a secret. Until next time, this is Sarah. Thank you for listening to our truth. So, tell me, what would you do if your child was the only witness to a crime against their own heart? Would you have the strength to listen? Let me know in the comments. And for more stories of survival and justice, subscribe to Behind Her Smile. I'll see you in the next one.